quick break. I just want to say thank you for all the people around the world, Jamaica, Germany, Asia, Europe, South America. Thank you for listening to Leap of Health. Thank you for the support. And remember, my book is out. You can find it on Barnes & Nobles and Amazon. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. Thank you again for all the support. And now, back to our episode. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Alex Valgood, and this is Leap of Health. And this interview is part of our 10-part series, Healing Through Cultivating Art. And today I'm super excited to have my really good, amazing sister, Arminie Pogosian. She has been a teacher for 18 years. And so I thought about, all these amazing teachers that I've had throughout the years and all the teachers that I know, they do such an amazing job shaping little people's minds, like all the children of the future. And I think it's such an important thing in the world. And I think that on itself is an art because not everybody can teach. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's dive into this topic. I think it's super important. What do you think art does for kids? Let's start with that.
What does art do for kids?
Yes.
I believe that it allows them to release their creativity in ways that they might not otherwise. I've noticed throughout my career that some kids who are not strong in the academics are amazing artists. So it can give them a boost of confidence that like they're good at something, or it's ways of expressing themselves. Sometimes, they'll want to give me a drawing that shows that they care or they love me or something, and they do drawings. And so I think it's a great way of self-expression and creativity and a release. A lot of times kids of course they enjoy it most of the time, and it's a way of kind of soothing also. So I think there's a lot of benefits in art for sure. And not only the visual arts, but there's the dance and the music and stuff. And I know as kids get older, it becomes like taboo, like, oh no, I don't want to do it. They get really embarrassed because I think they don't do it enough. Once they learn it, they get that confidence, and then they become more interested in doing it. But as young children, I've heard so many times that having kids listen to music really develops their brains. You should sing to them. Singing songs, like it just sticks with them more. So not only through the visual arts, but acting or music and all the different types of arts as well helps.
That's amazing. You talk about like as you get older, you get embarrassed. And I think as we get older, we forget about how amazing it's art. What do you think is that?
Absolutely. Again, I think because we become so focused on the academics, on like, it's not as, I don't want to say it's not as valued, but it's not, in careers, I guess in a lot of careers, it's like, oh, you need to know how to read, you need to know how to do math, you need to do, and so arts kind of get pushed to the side, but that doesn't mean that people forget the joy that art brings. I know sometimes when my little nieces color, and we'll sit there and we'll color with them or we'll paint, and we don't want to be bothered. We want to finish it. We want to do it. We get this calming sensation as well. And then, in the other forms as well, if you love dance, then, it brings you so much joy. And that I'm a salsa dancer. So I know that was such a big release for me. It was such a way to, I don't know, bring me joy when I was feeling down. And so, music in general as well, whenever I'm feeling down, I know that music lifts my spirits, but I think it just, not only do we not become good at it if we don't practice it. I think that's also why people kind of pull away from it. It's like, oh, well, I'm not good at that, and unfortunately they don't, I don't know, they don't bring it into their lives as much, but when they do bring it into their lives, I feel like they get such a joy out of it and they kind of forget that.
Yeah, I definitely think it's such an importance to have art in our lives, even when we're older.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it comes easier for some people than others. Me, myself, too. I grew dancing, painting, singing, acting, like all these things. And some other people might be like, well, I never did that. Why should I do that? I'm an accountant now, or
Yeah.
an engineer or something like that, right? Or there's no time for that. What will you say to those people?
They have these wine nights now, like paint and sip, and and a lot of times people are hesitant, right? Like you might have a friend organize it and then you end up showing up and then you surprise yourself. You're like, oh no, but I'm not good at art. And then when you're led through it, if you have a good teacher, if you have a good guide or somebody that will break it down for you, and then you blow yourself away, you're like, wow, that was so much fun. And look, I can't believe I did that. So and then there's like the paint for or paint by numbers now, there's different ways, I think. And I think that's kind of genius that some adults realize, like, hey, there's this big population of untapped, area where we can make business off of, but it also kind of benefits the adults as well, because they get that sort of fear taken away, as far as the drawing by numbers or the visual arts. And then as far as dance, I don't know, those different ones, you either love it or you hate it. And again, I think it comes back to confidence. If you don't understand it, then you won't be able to do it as well. So the confidence again comes in.
Yeah, for sure. And I think nobody's good at it, or nobody's perfect at it, and any form or art, or what's perfect, what's good on art. And there's a cool thing about art. I keep hearing some of my other guests that they talk about art. They're like, really, someone might look at Picasso's work and be like, that's horrible, and look at something that Van Gogh made, and maybe they're like, oh, that's beautiful, that's real art. But what's really good and bad art is really, it's not a rule. It's not something that you're like gonna fail or pass and you're gonna get a prize or something. So I think people should just kind of like let go a little bit and start making or doing art in different ways.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because sometimes when I teach an art lesson, I know everybody's is going to come out differently, and sometimes I will feel like, I don't want to say I'm a perfectionist, but it's like, okay, in my mind, it's like, this is what it should look like after we're all done. And some kids like completely like don't follow the directions, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then, but when you put them all together, it's so cool to see everybody's little style and everybody's little differences. I always think of it as just like their handwriting. They're just their writing. Like if one of my students forgets to write their name on their paper, I'll know whose paper it is because of their way of writing. Everybody learned how to write the letter A, how to write the letter B, but every single person has their own way of writing. And so I can tell whose writing it is, which always blows my mind, that there's like 25 plus students in there, and I can tell whose paper this is just by the form of their writing. So when their art comes in the same way, like I guided them, I told them, let's say we're drawing a tree or we're painting a tree, and I'll tell them, okay, make the trunk and then make however many branches you want, but then put the leaves on the tree. And then some kids will do it like on the trunk, like in that sense, they don't follow directions. But then when you put them all together, it looks so cool to see like all the differences, and that they don't all look the same. And I think that's the beauty of it. And the other thing is, again, like I have an art teacher that comes in sometimes, and she guides the kids in art, and they're constantly saying too, there's no such thing as a wrong way of doing it, right? Like, yeah, you have to follow the directions, but there are no mistakes in art, they would say. So sometimes, like, I have to let go of that as well. When they do something wrong, the art teacher will be like, that's okay, let's fix it and let's change it. And so it's interesting, the different ways that kids can, come up with the same thing but differently,
Yeah,
and
for
it's still
sure.
beautiful.
Would you think that that's kind of like a metaphor in life?
Yeah, yeah, there's beauty in every little thing.
Yeah.
There's beauty in every difference, and everybody's different and beautiful in their own way.
Yeah, I think so too. And I feel like um nobody's wrong or nobody's right. We're just drawing our little trees in such different ways, right?
That's right, everybody has their own opinions, and I feel that way too sometimes. People will say like, oh, well, this is the way to do it. I'm like, well, that's your opinion, that's what you think. Not everybody thinks that that's the right way to do it. Nobody knows the answers. There's no one way of doing things. So yeah, absolutely right.
And I had another guest that talked about art, and he said, I won't call it an art, like there's different artistic things to do. He'll tell me like it's more of a skill. I see art as a lesson or a way to teach us certain skills, not necessarily what we're doing, not the painting, not the dancing, but the skill that will leave us for to go on in life. What do you think?
That's interesting. I don't know, because to me a skill is almost like a talent. It's like if you're skilled at it, that means you're really good at it. I don't know, that's interesting. But it builds a way of being creative in that sense. Yeah, I guess that could be a skill in my
I
mind.
guess I guess the way he was saying it was like there's some people that might be shy or something like that, and then they will do like a little talent show or something, and then it's not that they're gonna become actors, or maybe they will, but most of them will not want, right?
Uh-huh.
But then after certain artistic thing that they've done as a talent show or like a dance show or a little dance class, the importance of what that individual is left with, which is maybe a little bit more confidence,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of a more like outgoing, maybe a little bit more of like um, quick thinking, problem solving. Do you see that on your kids?
I would say maybe temporarily. Like we had our winter performance where the kids sang and they danced, and a lot of times, especially the like more macho boys, they're like, oh no, I don't want to do it. But then once they do it, they kind of get this like smile on their face, and they do enjoy it. And I remember we did actually last year, that's a great example. We did an acting performance, and one of my shyest kids asked if we can, after the performance was done, she asked if we can do another one, and it was close to the end of the year. Yeah, I was really proud, but I was just kind of like, again, getting them out of that comfort zone, getting them through that fear of like, no, you can do it, it's going to be okay. And then once they do it and they accomplish it, then they want to do another one. I mean, that was so rewarding, where it was like, oh, that's great, okay, good, like they were afraid, they were shy, and here they are expressing themselves. And you're absolutely right, there are some kids who are shy, and then they turn into this different person when they go through the arts. they like shine. They all of a sudden this personality comes out that's like, whoa, because they're being a different character, right? They're not being themselves per se. They're now taking on a role and expressing themselves as somebody else.
I love it. I think art is such an amazing way to do so many good things
Yeah.
for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
What has art done for you?
Again, like I think it just, it puts me in a happy place. So when I listen to music, I know it just kind of takes me away to this other world. When I go dancing, it does that, same thing. I get transformed. I feel like sometimes the world just disappears and I get lost in it. And then as far as drawing and coloring, it's just very soothing and calming. And it's amazing what something so simple can do, just that effective concentration. I think the concentration of it kind of helps, but I wouldn't consider myself necessarily talented, but even I think I've been through pretty much all of the arts except for playing an instrument. I never was able to be good at that, but when I was in high school, I was in theater, I was in play production, and then I was in chorus in elementary school, so I sang. I was, as an adult now, I salsa dance, so it's always been in my life, and I think it should be in everybody's in some sense, because it does bring you this creative side, this side to express yourselves in different ways where everybody's different, and the one good thing I feel that social media has come up with is that, there's so many different ways of expressing themselves through art. And now there's this outlet of all these creative minds where you see something, whether it's through drawing or dance or like the way they make their food or something, like it's impressive, and it's nice to be able to share all the different artistic skills in the world and not just see, whoever becomes a movie star on TV.
Yeah, for sure. How do you think art has changed you to become who you are now?
That's a good question. um I don't know. I think just giving me confidence in different ways, I think me being a dancer really gives me like something in my pocket to be proud of, like, oh yeah, by the way, I dance, and then when people watch me, like, I don't know that anybody ever feels like they're great. I don't think I'm that good, but I get compliments, especially when I get it from, women, because I don't know. I just feel like, for men, I don't know if they're hitting on you, or, women could be jealous. But when women give me compliments on my dancing, it really makes me feel good. And like, oh, I must be kind of good, and so that confidence is there. And not only that, actually, my friendships, some of my greatest friendships have come out through sharing this passion of this form of art, just having something where you share that passion for this artistic skill. I guess, it's nice to have something in common with others, and you make these bonds with other people that also share that passion with you. So I think that's a great way that art has changed my life.
I love that. And I think dance has, or just art in general, has just like no boundaries, no language, no like nothing country,
Yeah.
you know? And I think it's just so beautiful to be able to do something with others, such as dancing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but I think too, like just doing any art in general, for everybody that is listening, I always say you could just be at home, and if you want to just move your hips left to right, your little shoulders, I don't know, whatever it is, I think
That's right.
just by moving a little bit, making you feel good, I think that's just enough. Sometimes we don't need a big stage or a
Oh
big
yeah, for
class,
sure.
or right? What do you
For
think?
sure. Yeah, for sure. And it's great exercise, you know, it gets those endorphins going, like not only listening to the music, but moving your body and getting that exercise. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. As long as you're happy and you're enjoying yourself, you know, it's again, expressing your own self and letting the music guide you to how you want to paint the picture with your body or whatever, you know. So um yeah, I think so. Just being at home, there are no rules in art, right? There's no right
Mhm.
or wrong.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you think art has changed the world in general? Do you think it plays a big part of it?
Yeah, again, I think just those bonds and having people connect through art. You know, there's clubs for poets, and there's graffiti artists, you know, and people who come together in that sense. Um, just the salsa dancing, there's so many different ways that people come together and connect in certain ways, you know, the wine nights, you know, now people are together painting. Photography is another amazing art, and you know, getting tips from each other, and again, going back to social media, like connecting through different people and like giving each other tips, and people are like posting videos on how to do certain things and helping each other. So um yeah, I think it's great to have people connect and create,
Mm-hmm.
and it just always broadens our own mind, right? When we think of art a certain way, like you were mentioning Picasso earlier, and the different artists, you know, like, you know, obviously when Picasso first started, everybody thought he was crazy, and then they appreciated him like way later. But it
Yeah.
just kind of broadens people's minds of like, oh yeah, I guess you could do that. I guess that's I see what he's trying to do there, and it's great, you know.
Yeah. It's just that little reminder of like, all these forms of arts, they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be one way or another. Is what
Mhm.
brings what you can bring with it and bring out of you with it too. So I think it's like really cool. And I like that you touch on like social media and things like that. It reminded me how like there's like millions of YouTube channels on how to do anything,
Mhm.
from like dancing to painting to singing. You could, learn how to sing online by yourself on your house where nobody's listening or watching.
Play instruments.
Play instruments. Yeah, like anything that we can think of, we can
Mhm.
actually go online and be like, today I'm going to learn how to play the flute or
Yeah.
whatever. And I think it's just so great. I think using wisely social media, it could be like really great and
Yeah.
beneficial for us. I think we spend like hours and hours scrolling that we
We
can
have too
actually
much time.
yeah, so we can actually maybe spend 30 minutes on learning how to play the keyboard or play the flute or draw a cat or
Yeah.
arrange how to do flower arrangements, because that's another
Learn a
type of
dance
art.
step.
Two steps, salsa and tango, I don't know, whatever, groove, just groove or whatever, right? So I think there's so many opportunities for just everybody to do anything, and that's just like the greatest world we live now. And
Yeah.
I think just passing art because we're busy, it's almost not worth it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I feel like it's almost impossible to leave it out of your life these days, you know? And the more you add it into your life, I feel you become richer in life, you
Mm-hmm.
know? The more art that you bring, the more wealthy you become, because you have not just one form, you know, but multiple forms. And it just makes you a happier person. It gives you, in my opinion, it makes you a happier person. It gives you an outlet. You know, there are a lot of angry and sad people in the world, and I feel like bringing a little bit of art into their lives might change things. I don't know. but you know, they have to be willing to be open to that. But yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that you don't have to like. I feel like we are so prompt to be like, I'm gonna do a painting and then post it on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And by all means, if you that's what you like, then that's what you like. But I feel like in general, you know, if you want to do something for yourself, you could definitely keep it for yourself and be like, you know what? I draw every other day a different tree and it's amazing. And I don't have to show it to anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It could be
You know?
private, it could be public, because you know, people can criticize and they can kind of put out your fire, which is not good either. You know, you want to do it for your own joy and your own happiness. If you're proud of something, you can risk putting it up online, but you don't have to. Yeah, you're right. You could
Yeah.
just do it on your own and be happy on your own.
Yes. This is awesome. And tell us, what are some of the cool things that you come up for the kids to bring that creativity?
um, as far as art,
Mhm.
hmm. Um, as far as I know, sometimes like I might give them an idea. For example, like a holiday is coming up or Mother's Day is coming up. I might give them the tools to create their own thing, and then I might share it. So I try not to, of course, sometimes I do have guided lessons, right? Like, oh, we're going to draw the tree because I'm trying to show them the skill, or, you know, whether we're learning about background and foreground or something like that. But when there's times where they kind of just want to work freely, I might give them a couple ideas, but I try not to, because what happens is kids end up copying other people's ideas and then they don't come up with something of their own. And I think that part is kind of the magic of it, is when they come up with their own. So for example, one thing that I do is we have every week we have a page that they have to read, you know, and we use it every day for the week so that they can kind of improve the fluency of their reading, of how fluently they read that story. And sometimes it lends itself to being, you know, for them to draw it, because there's no drawing of it. It's just one page of just writing. So I think it's a great way for me to, you know, let them be creative and be an illustrator. So I'll say, okay, like, you know, make a drawing for this. And they have no idea what it actually looks like based just what they read. And so when you know, and I tell them not to give anybody ideas, you know, pick whatever part you want. And then at the end, when they all show their pictures, like the kids are able to like, oh, that's so cool. Or, oh, that's so nice. Oh, you drew that. Oh, that's a good idea. You know, so I think that's one thing. And then when we were doing our plays, we told them to come up with the lines. You know, it had to be about the story that we read, but they could have put in whatever they wanted. And then for some kids, as a challenge, we offered them to continue the story. Like, what do you think will happen next? And they were to act that out. So just those are a couple ideas that I can think of off the top of my head. And I just remember as a kid, something that I did that I was very grateful for from my teachers. I remember we were making an Easter rabbit, like a drawing, right? It was a card for Easter, and I colored it, but I was like, you know what? It would be really cool if I can trace it with yarn. So I asked my teacher if I could have some yarn just to like put it around the rabbit. And you know, and another friend saw it and they wanted to do it too. So I was like, okay, I was kind of upset, but I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. You know, they think my idea is so great that they're going to do it too. But just the fact that my teacher allowed me to do that, like, you know, I asked for yarn and that wasn't part of the project, but, you know, she allowed me to. I want to be that teacher as well, you know. So if my kids ask for anything while they're working, if it's, you know, if I have it available and it's not too much trouble, then I would give that to them, because I know that that really made me happy, that I was able to go one step further in my creativity and do that. So I want to make sure my kids have that too. So if, like, you know, they're drawing something or building something or making something and they ask, hey, can I have like popsicle sticks because I want to do this, I'll say like, yeah, sure, and it's cool. Like I encourage that. So I think just I appreciate that outside of the box thinking because it sometimes blows me away too, right? Oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh, that's a great idea.
That's awesome. I think just our minds are so amazing, and we're all so different because the
Mm,
way we're raised, the way we were born, the language we speak, that when we come together, we just have so many different ideas on how we
mm,
see the world or just about any project. And it's so cool to have amazing teachers like you that keep on, cultivating art within our younger kids and minds that are so important. That's the future of our world. And we need more people with creativity and critical thinking and problem solving because that's what's gonna get us farther.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And happier and, more accepting of each other.
Yeah.
These social circles of just people that do things that have that in common is so nice. Like I'm just so grateful for our salsa community just bringing me so many great new friendships and knowing that I have people there when I need a boost of happiness or something, like it's great that I've made those friendships, but I also can just go and dance if I want to. And I can feel like I know most people, or not most people, but most of the time I know somebody there. So those social circles I think is great in that community building, not only through creativity, but just through social, building your social skills.
Yeah, it is so important to have a community, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, like a poet club, you know,
Yeah.
like 10 years ago, poets might have been a little lost and be like,
Hmm.
where are my other poets? But
Yeah.
now they're so easy to find.
Yeah.
You literally could type
Yeah.
poet clubs on Instagram or Facebook
Hmm.
or whatever, and you can find them very close by you and come together and create more poems
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And that's just such a great thing. I feel like just as humans, we were built to being a community,
Yeah.
and we're so much powerful when we are in a community.
Yeah.
We get support, we get help, we get happiness from our community.
Hmm.
And as you said, you can go out, like, as an example of the dancer, you can go to a club not knowing anyone, you just wanted to have like fun and take a class and maybe dance a little bit. And guess what? From there, you might make a friend or two.
Yeah.
And then if you really like them, come back. Next
Yeah.
time, you might make another two friends.
Yeah.
And
Because
little
those
by little,
people,
yeah,
those
you
same
create,
people want the same thing.
yeah, and you create a community. And I think it's just so great. Like, that's one of the statements that I think is just like so true. We're never alone
Hmm.
anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Yeah.
just amazing. So,
I have a student who was kind of shy, kind of low self-esteem, but he was obsessed with anime.
mm,
And, he found out that there's another quiet girl who also loves anime, and they kind of connected through that. So it's just really nice when they have, that commonality, and then there's all of a sudden they talk about like the shows that they watch, or they can draw together. And so, yeah, for sure, it can really help people connect and find people who are similar to them maybe, or find a commonality that will open up discussions and open up like something for them to feel comfortable enough to share.
yeah, sure. And to finish up this amazing conversation, what
Mhm.
would you say to all those people that are stressed out and they're like, I don't have time for this artistic thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, try it out. I mean, give it a shot. What have you got to lose? And a little liquid encouragement if you go to a wine and paint night, that might help. But it's a great way of just hanging out with, your friends. If you're gonna hang out with friends and You're gonna go to a bar. Instead of going to a bar, go to a paint night or go to a salsa club and take a class to learn. Do it, fit it into your schedule. Or just turn on music and dance, on your own, if that's what makes you feel comfortable, or sing along to a song in the car. Just there's always time for it, and it will make you such a happier person when you do that for yourself. It's for your own self. So I think you can make time for it for sure.
Yay, for sure. So if you're listening, make sure to do something super artistic, draw, paint, sing, jump, I don't
Express
know,
yourself.
express yourself. Tag me on social media. I want to definitely see what everybody's doing out there. Thank you for being here today. Yay.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
No, thank you. Thank you. She loves to go to restaurants and show some amazing pictures of food. So if you're into that, I will share your social links for everybody that's listening. And if you want to know more about my show, you can go to alexspellgood.com. You can find me on all social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere out there. And also don't forget, my book is out. You can always find it on Amazon. It's called Parents Are Greatest Teachers. You can also too find it on Barnes and Nobles. And if you need a promo code and you want to talk about it, do send me a DM and I will reply to you. Thank you everyone for listening today. Thank you, Armine, for being here today.
Thank
and have a blessed day,
you.
everyone.